Mm-hmm.
Well, we just added on to our office, and we put in some more operatories. And the cabinet layout is very similar to our other side that we put in about, gosh, that was about 7 years ago. Changes we made to this basically are going to be the following. We put in a smaller space right here to hold a keyboard and any other small items. Um, See right now the keyboard, we still seem to be putting it back in its usual spot, but this one should go up here, and then the assistant should be able to take that down to use it. Of course, you notice right there it was wireless, so you don't have a wire in the way. We also went with the USB port here for our Nexus sensor. Back in the other rooms, the assistants and hygienists would have to go up top in order to put the sensor into the computer directly, but we moved it over here and see if that's going to be more convenient for everybody. Still the small shelf here, still have the same swivel laminate countertop. These are all custom-made cabinets. These are not manufactured from a plant. As far as trying to get the depreciation expense on equipment versus finish out, that's really a minor issue to me. I just went ahead with the cost savings of having a custom cabinet built. We also went ahead and moved the monitor and actually mounted it to the wall. Back on the other side, we've got the monitor just sitting on the countertop. And you can tell this frees up a lot of space over here to put more dental stuff. If you notice up top, you see those two white plates? That originally was a position for the data port and the electrical outlets. But we didn't like the wires running up the side of the wall, so we had to come back and put them down lower. You see, if you put in your plans, yes, we want data port and electrical on your 12 o'clock wall, that's not specific enough for the contractor. The electrician's going to come out and they're just going to find somewhere to put in the cabinet, or sorry, to put in those outlets. And these cabinets aren't here first, so they don't know. So something we learned on this installation was if you're going to put in cabinets and you want to have your wires down low, you have to tell the electrician specifically where this is going to go. So if you know this cabinet is, well, I'm about 6 foot, so this is about 6 foot or so, you have to tell them you want those outlets coming in at about 6 foot 5 inches or somewhere in that ballpark. So at least everything matches up. The more specific you are on the front end, the less you're going to have to try to correct later on. We also went with, in the second space, we got rid of the 2 drawers that were right here. We used to have this flip out thing which would make room for this sliding cabinet for the hygienists to put their Cabotron unit on. But we decided just to do away with the cabinet door because when we would slide down that cabinet door, it's a little flip down. Then we had that extra space. It really wasn't shelf space, and everyone would hit their leg against it. So we just left it open. And of course, there's not a Cabotron there right now, but when we do have one, it'll just be easier to access and just easier for everyone to use. You also notice we're trying out these things, these backless chairs. The hygienists tried them out, and they liked them. I'm kind of still, I could take it or leave it either way. The jury's still out on whether or not we like it long term. But it is smaller, and it does kind of force you to sit up instead of kind of slouching over in your chair. Let's move over here. A couple other things. Oh, I'm sorry. One other item is when you are putting together your hoses, and you can see this, and you'll see it a little bit on the delivery unit. Be specific with your equipment manufacturer on what you want where, because otherwise they're going to come out here and just set it up. If you're not specific, they're going to have to come back out and fix it all, which is what we have to do. Also be specific on how long you want these hoses. And again, on the delivery unit, that will make more sense, because as you take the drill off the holster and move it over, if that hose is too short, you're going to hate it. And again, you have to have them come out, and you're going to have to rework the hoses. Okay. Light. We went with the Belmont. This thing shouldn't be infrared activated. There we go. You notice this has a very, if you look on the chair, that's a very square kind of overlapping rectangles. And what's nice is when the patient is laying back, if their eyes are right here, they don't see any of this light, but yet the oral cavity will be fully illuminated with this light. And of course it has different settings, different levels of brightness and so forth. And we found this to be kind of a different light to work with, but it is one that we like. If you go up top and you look on this track, there's not a monitor mount on that track. With this particular system, we found out that you can't have a monitor mount, or they don't make one for this track. So instead, we're having one put in. It's not installed yet, but we're just going to have a straight pole coming down off of that beam. cabinets, one small other cosmetic change. In this space, you'll see that's that beige colored beam right there. We added that in. If you look at the other operatories, it's just, that track is just flat up against that ceiling tile. So we went with that. It just kind of makes it look a little bit nicer. Kind of pops the ceiling down and creates a little bit of space. Oh, and one last thing. When you're putting in these pass-through cabinets, we ran into an issue with the installation guy, the equipment guy, putting this thing in too far, too far down. You should have put it somewhat up to make room for the hinges. Notice this hinge is smaller than that hinge or that hinge. We wanted to have 3 big ones, but we got 2 big ones and a smaller one. Now they assure me that this will be strong enough to hold this up, but I would have liked to have this thing up, but after the fact, they can't come back and move it because of the backing that's behind here, or at least that's the reason they gave me. So again, have to be specific. You'd think with putting in all these installations they would know, but when you're in the middle of this, you have to be specific with them. So we'll look at some other items here in just a second.